So today's content framing question is, what does a deeper exploration of inspiration reveal in Emma's rug? And don't worry about today's craft question because we will be answering that tomorrow of why is a thesis statement important. Alright, so here is your warm-up. You need to illustrate one event that you think is important to, or in, I should say, Emma's Rug by Alan Say, and I want you to include why the event is important. So for this assignment, I did create a file for each of you, making a copy. However, if you don't have a printer, that is completely fine. Please use any kind of scrap paper you have, and a pencil. If you want to color it, that's great. But I want you to draw an event in Emma's rug that you think is important, and then I want you to make sure that you answer the question of why you picked that event as important. Okay? And if you don't have a pen or pencil and scratch paper at home, what you can do is just describe the event to me and then write why the event is important for the story. Okay, and so taking a look at this tab, this is what the document that's attached looks like. So if you have a printer or if you want to draw on your tablet, you can fill this out. Or if you don't have any of those options, you can just write down your response, type your response here. So the first box is where your illustration should go, and then a sentence starter that can help you to answer the question of why that event is important. You can use this right here. So where it has the parentheses of the event from the story, I want you to write there the event that you picked or the event that you drew. So you can write that, and you can say is important to the story because blank. So then your reasoning of why you picked that event. Alright, and so this is your warm-up for today's lesson. Alright, so here's your classwork for today. I'm going to go through the whole thing and then replay a clip of the read-aloud of Emma's Rug so that you can hear it for the second time. And so remember, today's classwork has 3 pages, okay? So it may seem like a lot, but it's hopefully not too much. And so I'm going to go over each part of it now, and then you can listen to the story again. Alright, so the first part of today's classwork is rereading page 12 of Emma's Rug and answering the questions. So here is page 12. In the first grade, Emma won the top prize in the art competition. What talent! Exclaimed the teacher. How do you know what to draw? The children asked. Where do you get your ideas? I just copy, Emma told them. No one believed her. Okay. So the question that I want you to answer based on this page is, what inspires Emma? Okay. And here above, we have some sentence starters. So I noticed that some of us just fill out our answers here in the sentence starters, but these are just to help you type your response here. So always look at these charts with the shaded labels for the columns, because that'll tell you where to put your answers. So the question is, what inspires Emma? You can say whatever answer you think. Blank inspires Emma, or I know that blank inspires Emma because in this story, right? That's answering the question and including evidence, which is great. I know that blank inspires Emma because in the pictures, right? Because we also have learned in 3rd grade that illustrations can show us a lot of detail about the text as well. So we can include that here. Now the second part is looking specifically at pages 22 to 23 and answering a question using complete sentences. Notice how I'm continue to say complete sentences because there are going to be some questions below where you don't need to write incomplete sentences today. Okay. So here's page 22. When Emma came home, she went to her room and stared in the empty drawer. She dashed into the kitchen and said, "Where's my rug?" "Oh, I washed it. It must be dry by now," Mother told her. "You washed my rug?" Emma charged downstairs. The rug had shriveled. It was ragged. All the fluff was gone. It was very, very clean. Emma cried out. So 2 main things that I want you to notice here before we move on to this question. 1, I want you to notice the characters are talking to each other. Now, what is that called when characters are talking to each other? I hope you said dialogue, because yes, that is dialogue right here. And then 2, I want you to notice how this page doesn't explicitly, Alan Say doesn't explicitly tell us how Emma is feeling, right? But instead uses words to describe how she's feeling, right? Words that just, her actions, right? The action words that he uses and the language shows us, right, how she's feeling, as well as this very clear illustration of how she's feeling, right? But I want you to take a look at the word charged, right? If you're charging downstairs, you are most likely feeling angry, right? You're in a hurry if you're charging. Also, she cried out, right? Telling us that she's upset, right? And immediately she dashed into the kitchen and said, "Where's my rug?" So her dashing into the kitchen tells us that she's worried, right? Because let's say you lost something that you really treasured, right? And so you're looking and you don't see it, right? You're going to run and hurry in a hurried manner, right? Or in a hurried way to someone else at home and ask where your item is or whatever you were looking for, right? And so notice again how Alan Say doesn't use Emma was upset, right? Instead, he uses these action words, the language, what she says to show us that she's feeling upset, right? All right, continuing on with our classwork. So the question that you need to answer in regards to these 2 pages is, based on the text and illustrations in Emma's rug, what inspires Emma? So now, based off this text and illustration, I want you to answer this question. And you can use these sentence starters up here to help you answer that question as well. Okay. Now, this next part 3, I want you to answer at least 2 out of the 6 questions. So these answers don't need to be in complete sentences. Your other 2 responses do, but notice how it says notes here. So now you can just write ideas that you have, okay? So reading the questions out loud to you, how does the text explain what inspires Emma? How do the illustrations explain what inspires Emma? To what extent does the rug inspire Emma? To what extent does being alone inspire Emma? To what extent does the outdoors inspire Emma? And to what extent does Emma's own imagination inspire her? Okay, and so when you think of to what extent, I want you to think of how. How does the rug inspire her? How does being alone, the outdoors, her own imagination? Okay, so again, just 2 out of the 6 of those questions are the ones you need to answer. Okay. And finally, the last part of your classwork is a character analysis. So kind of broke down Emma's character just from page 22, but I want you to really analyze who she is after listening to the story or rereading the story again. So the directions say review your notes, which is classwork from yesterday, as well as your answers up here. We are not going to have a small group discussion, so ignore that. So just review your notes and ideas to identify a source of inspiration for Emma. Okay. In one box, provide evidence from the text that shows how the source inspires Emma. In the other box, provide evidence from an illustration that shows how the source inspires Emma. So there can be many sources, right? There's not one specific source of inspiration for Emma, but I actually listed 4 up here, right? So I want you to pick the one that you think is the most inspirational for Emma, or pick the one that you want to write about and you know you can find evidence for, right? That's super important. What we've talked about in class before is we want to make sure that when we pick an idea, right, or a topic, when it's not already picked for us, right, we want to make sure that we pick something that we know enough about to be able to write about, right? So you're not going to pick or write something that you have absolutely no idea about or think that it just sounds good. You need to pick an answer that's correct, but also one that you can back up with evidence, right? So here again, I want you to make sure you write down a source of inspiration that you know that you can find evidence for in the text, okay? So here in this box, I want you to write down what the source of inspiration for Emma is. And then on the left side, I want you to write down the page number here. So this book is actually numbered, so you can refer to that page number. So I need you to find at least one, right? One piece of evidence that supports whatever source of inspiration you wrote down at the top right here. And then on the right side, I need you to find me an illustration that proves that this is a source of inspiration for Emma as well. And I need you to write down the page number here and then continue this sentence, okay? Also, I just want to remind you to make sure you complete the entire classwork. I can't give you full credit if you don't finish all parts of the classwork. So please, 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 when you open your document, I want you to look through, before you even get started, I want you to just scroll all the way down so you can see all the parts. And also I go over every single classwork in video, so there's really no reason for you to not complete all of it. And again, if you have questions, remember that I am available from 9 o'clock to 4 o'clock on the Google Classroom, except from 12 to 1, which is our lunchtime. But I'll try to respond then too. But remember, you can write a private comment, you can email me. Please, please, please make sure that you contact your teachers, your respective teachers, if you need help working on the assignment. Alright, so here is Emma's Rug by Alan Say. When Emma was born, someone gave her a rug. It was a small rug, shaggy and plain, the kind that keeps your feet warm in the bathroom. So Mother laid it by the crib for the day the baby could stand on her feet. And by the time Emma climbed out of the crib by herself, no one remembered who had given her the rug. Emma loved the rug. She lay on it and sat on it, and she was happy. When she began to walk, she carried it everywhere she went, but never stepped on it. Now she only stared at it, sitting perfectly still for long periods of time. "That's not a blanket, it's her television," Father said. "What do you see in that fuzzy thing?" Mother asked. Emma did not answer. Before long, Emma began to draw and paint. Her parents were quite impressed. "Now, there is a warthog," Father would say. "Where did she see a pangolin? Is that a tapir?" Mother would ask. One weekend, Father put a small drawing table in the kitchen, and right away the kitchen became Emma's favorite place in the house. On her first day at the kindergarten, Emma went straight up to an easel and began to paint. Other children gathered around and watched her wave the long brush like a maestro's baton. The grown-ups were amazed. "She's special, that one adult said to another. In the first grade, Emma won the top prize in the art competition. "What talent!" exclaimed the teacher. "How do you know what to draw?" the children asked. "Where do you get your ideas?" "I just copy," Emma told them. No one believed her. Emma won more prizes. Every time she entered a competition, she received an award. Sometimes it was a ribbon, other times a plaque or a trophy. Her room became filled with awards. Her parents were very proud. But Emma only looked at her rug, which she now kept hidden in the bottom of her chest of drawers. "What should I draw next?" Emma asked every day. one morning, the telephone rang. It was the mayor, asking to speak to Emma. Mother thought it was a prank, but then she recognized the voice, which she had heard on television many times. "Congratulations," the mayor announced. "Your daughter has won first prize in our annual citywide art competition. I'm sending a limousine at 3:30 today. The reception is at the Museum of Art. Please be ready." At the reception, many famous people stared at Emma. She's so small. What a doll. Big talent in such a little thing. How can she hold a brush in that hand? People cooed as cameras flashed. The mayor presented her the winner's certificate in a big frame. "So how does it feel to be a celebrity?" a newspaper reporter bent down to ask. Emma didn't say a word. The following morning, Mother went into Emma's room. She frowned at the unmade bed. Then she saw the rug with the framed certificate on top. "Goodness sakes, I don't think this thing has ever been cleaned." Wiggling her nose, she took the rug downstairs and put it in the washing machine. When Emma came home, she went to her room and stared in the empty drawer. She dashed into the kitchen and said, "Where's my rug?" "Oh, I washed it. It must be dry by now," Mother told her. "You washed my rug?" Emma charged downstairs. The rug had shriveled. It was ragged. All the fluff was gone. It was very, very clean. Emma cried out. Next day at school, Emma didn't draw or paint. She never opened her mouth, and her hands didn't come out of her pockets. "Do you feel all right?" the teacher asked. Emma only nodded. "You can use my crayons," Alex offered. Emma pushed the box away. Days went by. Emma didn't speak, and soon the children ignored her. After a while, it was as if she wasn't there anymore. Emma took down all the drawings and paintings from the walls of her room. She put the prize ribbons and plaques and trophies and medals into cardboard boxes. She gathered up her colors and pencils and brushes. Then she took them all down to the garage and stuffed them in the trash bin. The last thing she threw away was her rug. "There," she said, "kid stuff." All afternoon, Emma sat in her empty room. It seemed somehow larger and brighter. "No more pictures," Emma murmured. Then something made her jump. From the corner of her eye, she thought she saw something move behind her. She knew there was only the wall there, all bare now, yet she turned, as if to catch sight of something flying away. She gave a cry. Emma rushed outside. "It can't be," she said, breathing faster. She saw the eyes watching her and then the faces of creatures all around. She knew them from before. She had thought she would never see again. "I can see you," Emma cried with joy. The trees rustled as if laughing, and then it was quiet. The end. Alright, so here is your first question set for Module 4. Like I always do for all your question sets, I'm going to read the passage for you, the directions, the questions, as well as the answer choices, because I really want you to focus on the comprehension piece. And so please make sure you listen carefully as I read everything out loud. If you want to do it without the read aloud, you can go ahead and go straight to your question set now. But for those of you that would like the read aloud, please listen carefully and follow along with me. Please make sure you take your time, because we didn't unfortunately get the practice of the state exam for 3rd grade because of COVID-19, but this is our way of still practicing our multiple choice and our comprehension skills, because that is something that we need to continuously practice. All right, so here we go. Directions. Read the passage, look at the illustrations on page 31, then answer each item. Alright, so here is page 30 from Emma's Rug by Alan Say. Emma rushed outside. "It can't be," she said, breathing faster. She saw the eyes watching her, and then the faces of creatures all around. She knew them from before. She had thought she would never see again. "I can see you," Emma cried with joy. The trees rustled as if laughing, and then it was quiet. Okay, so this is the illustration on the next page, page 31. Alright, so your first question has two parts. Answer part A, then answer part B. Read the sentence from the passage. The trees rustled as if laughing. So, what does rustled mean? A, became suddenly still. B, bent or hung down. C, made soft sounds. Or D, stood strong and solid. And part B says, what context best helps readers understand the meaning of rustled? A, breathing faster. B, never see again. C, cried with joy. Or D, as if laughing. So question number 2 has two parts, part A and part B. So part A asks, how does Emma feel when she sees the creatures' faces? A, happy. B, afraid. C, calm. Or D, angry. Part B, what evidence best supports the answer to part A? A, rushed outside. B, saw the eyes watching her. C, thought she would never see again. Or D, cried with joy. And your last question, number 3, what part of the passage does the illustration on page 31 help readers understand? A, how Emma feels when she sees the creatures. B, what the creatures Emma sees look like. C, the change in Emma when she goes outside. D, the sudden quiet at the end of the passage. So again, I want to emphasize that last question is, what part of the passage does the illustration on page 31 help readers understand? So what does the illustration show you or help you understand about the passage on page 30? All right.